I started saving my own seeds, and rarely, they usually self-pollinate a tomato flower, but once in a while they will actually cross. It's usually done by like a native bee or a bumblebee, and I happened to save some seeds from some that had crossed out in the garden by themselves. And at that point I'd actually gone chasing the holy grail heirloom tomatoes, the ones that make the customers crawl back on their hands and knees and beg for you. So most of them I found out 80-90% of most of the heirlooms were kind of mediocre also. You know, there was definitely some good ones, and then I had these accidental crosses, and I looked at it and I went, wow, that's, you know, really cool. And then I ate it, and I couldn't believe it was one of the best tomatoes I'd ever eaten. So I saved the seeds from that, grew out 100 plants, saved the best of the best. Same thing, if those plants grow 100 or more of that variety the next year, save the best of the best. And along the way it kept blossoming. There was cousins and sisters and brothers that I'd pick, and I go, wow, the tomato world can't be without this, you know.
Yeah.
Basically I'm holding the ball, the DNA's there or whatever.
Yeah.
So I was tasting these tomatoes and I'm just like, wow, there's another one. So along the way I was stabilizing these crossed heirlooms, selecting the best of the best, same representation year after year, and then you'd have an oddball, like I said, a cousin or a sister that would be like, wow, that's even amazing too. So I'd save the seeds from that, and that would start other new varieties. So at this point I'm working on, I don't know, I've got 100 or so different crosses, but I have almost, I think 40 something that I've developed in the last 12 or 15 years since I've been
And those
doing
are
it.
available online?
Yeah, actually.
On your website?
I'm on my website,
Wow.
Yep. So originally too, it was kind of interesting. It started, Green Zebra was really a unique tomato, nothing else like it 20 years ago, and some of my crosses came from Green Zebra, which happened to add some striping on them, and there wasn't very many striped varieties, so that was kind of my chase for years and years. I wanted to rewrite the tomatoes, put stripes on everything from medium, big, you know, red, yellow, bicolor, and then along came the anthocyanin, which it's an antioxidant that is the same thing in blueberries and blackberries. Oregon State University actually started it. They got a wild tomato from South America, small, looked like a small tomatillo that had the gene for the anthocyanin expression. It wasn't even really edible. So what people did actually originally was cross some of that wild tomato to some of my really good looking, really good flavored tomatoes, and then sent me some cross seeds. And
That's
that
amazing.
Started the whole new thing. A lot of them started out small. Now we're starting to get beefsteaks. Same thing. We got heart-shaped striped
So
ones.
was the indigo apple yours?
The indigo apple's mine. Indigo
That's
rose
incredible.
was the first. Indigo rose also came out about the same time. That's actually Oregon State University's.
So I remember following all this. So that was you this whole time. I've been following you for years then. That's amazing.
I just, I said some friends sent me the original crosses, and when I grew them out, I was just like, they were so amazing. Because even when you have a small green fruit, you know, the colors, everything, it just adds more joy to the plant when you have that beautiful color. It starts off kind of a indigo color and almost will turn into a pure black, and it depends on where the sun hits it actually with these two.
So do you hand pollinate them, or do you just let it happen?
Most of the ones that got me into saving seeds and creating varieties were accidental crosses. Since then I've actually taken and intentionally crossed one variety to another. What you do is you go out, there's not many flowers left,
Right
it's
here.
kind of hot, and you actually would go out, and this flower is probably receptive today, so you would have caught it yesterday and emasculated it, taken all the yellow parts out. You would just have the small tiny green tomato inside, it's the ovary actually, and then the stigma stamen sticking out of it. So you'd sterilize it the day before. It's not receptive, hasn't been pollinated. The next day you go and collect pollen from the male that you want in her life and add pollen to it, and actually the grain of pollen goes down and the whole thing seals up. You would strip all the other flowers from there and put a ribbon on there with a tag saying what the cross was. So this tomato would look exactly the same this year as it would have, even though it's crossed. It's just the DNA inside the seeds that has now changed. And so now this technically would be an F1 hybrid. That's kind of how they create regular hybrids. So the first year, they'll all come out actually stable. That's how hybrids are created. They took one parent, crossed it. For the first year, they come out stable. The next year, the F2 is when it gets exciting. That's when you get big ones, small ones, different colors, different shapes, different flavors. That's they can express all these different traits that were actually hidden inside. You know, maybe this actually has a cherry tomato relative, or a yellow gene, or a heart shape, or, you know, different genes could be hidden in here from, like I said, other relatives.
Yeah.
And those will all express themselves. So in the F2 and the F3, the second, third generations, where it's kind of exciting, so many shapes, sizes, colors, flavors, and that's when your work is to go and just make sure you get the cream of the crop, select the best of the best, and get your seeds and wait for next year.
This moment in time, with what we have at our disposal, we could actually have the biggest seed renaissance and seed breeding renaissance in the history of the world.
Yeah, can you imagine the next 10 years? Thousands of new squash, thousands of new tomatoes, thousands of new peppers. I mean, it really is never ending, whether it's the flavor, the texture, tolerance to cold, tolerance to heat, so many factors too.
Amazing. And you can be part of that.